So we stop over here and we continue. And according to that, right, the last thing that we stopped was that redemption from Egypt was like the engagement, and bringing us into the land of Israel is like the marriage, right, the final thing. And according to that, it's explained according to the Mamar of the Saba Kadosh Milochovich, זכותו הגן עלינו, שטובה הארץ מאוד מאוד, that the land of Israel is very good, right, double good, which mean, היינו לזה שהוא מאוד מאוד שפל רוח, right, you're relating it to the Mishnah Mesechet Avot, that the one that are very, very humble, that they have the merit to gain the land of Israel. And also it says in Nitzotze Orot, על הזוהר הקדוש, that Eretz Knaan, right, שארץ כנען מרמז שניתנה לנכנעים. It's a hint that the land of Canaan, right, many people make a mistake and think that the land of Israel, which is also called Canaan, it's because of the Knaanim that lived over there, one of the nation that got kicked out. But it's not Knaanim, it's about the Nichnaim, the one that are humble, surrender in front of Hashem. ולכאורה, מדוע ניתנה דווקא נכנעים? But it seems like, why particularly it's giving to the one that are humble or surrender? But העניין בזה, כמו שאמרו חז"ל למסכת סוטה, על המתגאה, somebody that have proud, right, גאווה, שאין אני והוא יכולים לדור, right, במקום אחד. Hashem is saying, me and somebody that have gaiva, we cannot be in the same place in the same time. Or you or me, right? וכיוון שמעלתה של ארץ ישראל, the advantage of ארץ ישראל, or the mile, or the level, is שהקדוש ברוך הוא שוכן בתוכה, right? That Hashem is dwelling within the land of Israel, not like the other countries that they have ministers and angel controlling. In the land of Israel, it's only Hashem that dwell over there. And a Jew can achieve cleaving, right? Stick himself to Hashem only in the land of Israel in that level. But הרי מי שאינו נכנע, אינו זוכה לה, but the one that is not surrendering himself to Hashem, מבטל himself to Hashem, he cannot gain that. Why? Because it is like he has a gaiva. And only the one that are humble gaining the Kedusha. And this is another explanation of what our sages says, כל הדר בארץ ישראל דומה כמי שאין לו אלוה, right? The one that live in the land, the one that doesn't live in the outside, it looks like it doesn't have a God. And the one that live in Israel, it is like he have a God. Why? Because the Eretz, the land of Israel, it is the Truma mikol haolam, ושיעורי בקדושה שלה, right? We learn also that it's like the challah, that the entire planet is like the dough, but Eretz Israel is the Truma, it's the matana, the gift. So because of that, it has a Kedusha, the same way that we give the Afrashat Challah, we give it to the Kohen. There is a Kedusha, nobody can touch it, nobody can eat it, only the Kohen. So the same thing is the land of Israel. And that's why I have like a high level of Kedusha, because it's the place of the Shechina that dwell. ויהודי הנמצא בה מסוגל להתקרב לשם בך, and a Jew that live in Eretz Israel can actually get closer to Hashem. But the one that live in Chutz La'aretz, outside the land, it is if like it doesn't have a God, because it doesn't have that help, so he cannot achieve that level. And also he said, כל היוצא מארץ ישראל, anyone that live the land of Israel to go outside, it is if like he's doing an avodah zarah. Because how is it possible that he leave a place of the Shechina and he go to a place where there is no Shechina? And this is the explanation of וטובה הארץ מאוד מאוד. Right, shekafal, which he double it, right? He double it when he said, and he emphasized that Israel cannot have that higher level, madrigot elionot, in the prophecy in other place besides the land of Israel. And there is no doubt, שהמקום גם מחייב מאוד, but the same way there is a higher kedusha and you can achieve a higher level until you get to a prophecy, also is a place that it will obligate us a lot. Right? There's like rolling responsibilities, and I forgot, there was like an expression, right? With the benefits come the duty or something like that. Yeah, there's such kind of a quote.
I'll think of it.
Okay. So anyway, you understand the concept. And this is that the Rav HaKadosh Mebez Jibu Zechato again said, we should actually live in the land of Israel, right? כל השנה בבחינת ראש השנה, like the entire, every day like it's Rosh Hashanah, crowning Hashem, because he is there. Okay, so that's the location of land in Israel. And now in Shana, right, timing, there is also the gift, the present of Shabbos to bring us closer to Hashem. As our sage says, right, Amar Kadosh Baruch Hu leMoshe, I have a gift in my treasure box, right? And Shabbat, its name. And when it says Matana Tova, right, usually gift is a good gift. Why you need to say a good gift? It was enough to say just a gift, a present. But the Tova is the Shabbat, because a Jew can, again, getting closer to Hashem in Shabbos. Because Hashem put us in this reality that actually supposed to take us away from Hashem. But we have Shabbat to get closer. Ubenefesh, and then the soul. Hashem gave us the Torah, כמו שכתב הבח, that the divine will, the Kavanah Eliona of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, בנתינת התורה, giving us the Torah, it's in order that our soul will get stronger and bigger and mighty, right? In the Kedusha, in the source of the Kedusha, it's the Torah. And when we learn Torah with the Kavanah, that really that we want to get better, we want to serve Hashem better, right? Then we're actually bringing ourselves into the Kedusha and closer to Hashem, and then we become like a vessel for the Shekhinah, because Hashem said, right, I will dwell within you. So that's part of the preparation, like building Bet HaMikdash, but inside of us, right, inside of us. And when we're learning Torah, we become like a Merkava LaShekhinah, the chariot, the vessel for the Shekhinah. Right? And it says, Asur leMikdash v'shachanti betocham, betocho lo nemar ela betocham, not inside the temple, but inside of us, in each and every one of us. And Shabbat is helping us to get closer, and specifically if we're learning Torah on Shabbos. And now it says also, Tova aretz meod meod, the land is very good, right? Double good. In the Nyana Meraglim, right? The spies, to teach us that their first blemish was Gaiva, which is the opposite from the level of being humble, which is needed in order to inherit the land of Israel. So did exactly the opposite. And as it says in the verse, Kol nasi b'hem, each and every president with them, v'chulam anashim rashei b'nei Israel, the head of the b'nei Israel, the Rosh, right, the top, VIPs. And it says in the simpleness, in the pshuto, in the pshat, the Torah is actually testifying about their mila, their advantage, that they were great people, they were president, the head of the Bnei Israel. But also it's hinting for the blemish, because also in their eyes, they hold themselves that they are a very important people and they're very high in the levels. So that put them down into Gaiva. And because of that, they got into that big blemish that they had, that talking Dibru Sarah Beretz Israel, they're talking Lashon Hara on Eretz Israel, and that despise the land of the Chemda. And because for that, the Torah is saying double, good, it's very good. To show us that, yeah, you should be humble in that level, the same way that we learn from Masechet Avot, right? And also we can say, another explanation, Tova Aretz Meod Meod. Deina Midat, right? Shemavrik Nikret Tov, right? It says here, he said that Ben Yeshayahu, Tzaddik Kitov, right? A righteous person is good, and the land of Israel is good, which means it have the strength of the Kedusha, Bechinat Tov, like in the context of good. And the opposite from that, it's called bad. And we need like a special behavior of Kedusha. According to what the Saba Kadosh Mishlonim, Zechuto again said on the Pasuk, right? Musar Hashem beni al timas, like, my son, you should not despise the Musar of Hashem. But he says, no, that's the Musar. Musar Hashem bni, this is the Musar. Bni, you are my son. Don't behave in a despised way. You are the son of the king. Don't make yourself despised, that others will see you. That's the Musar. Because we are the son of the king and we need to behave accordingly. And also think that maybe do not consider as a blemish to normal people, but the prince, for him, this will consider as a blemish. It's not appropriate. And this is what it says specifically, and we learn it so many times, right? That sanctify yourself with the one that are permissible. even the one that we're allowed to do, we're allowed to have, we're permitted, and there is no really issur, and there's no blemish for the person, for the simple person. It's not considered to be as a sin, but that's the musar of Hashem. He's like claiming from us to behave differently. It's very obligating. And this is Hanaga, like a higher level of Kedusha. And for that, the Torah is saying, Tova Aretz Meod Meod, which is a land that is capable to bring a person into Anava, to be humble, and capable also to bring us to the Kedusha, and to know that the son of the king have a special way of behaving. And we can say, אפשר לומר שהתורה מרמזת כאן, שזה היה תחילת הפגם שלהם. That was the beginning of the blemish, because in the ענייני היתר וקדש עצמך במותר לך, the one that were permitted to them, that was like the beginning of the fall down. And that tiny little blemish thing, maybe like a hair, is again opposite to the Kedusha of the land. And because this is what happened, they fall and they nichshal, right? They failed. And we're going to finish here until they got into Gaiva. And then they speak Lashon around the land of Israel. And this is the Musar Hashem. B'ni al timas. That is the greatest Musar that Hashem is actually talking to each and every Jew. שהרי בני אתה בן המלך, you are the king's son, and you should, ויש לך להתנהג בהנהגה אחרת מאשר אדם פשוט. ובמיוחד, and specifically, in the land of Israel, we should behave differently, because the land is very, very good, and we should behave there differently. And this is what Yeshua and Caleb were saying to the Meraglim when they were saying Lashon Hara about the land of Israel, and they said, no, on the contrary, the land is very, very good. The land have, the Shechina will dwell over there, will dwell within us. There is a Kedusha over there. Hashem is direct, supervising us in the land of Israel and everything, so we should be very, very careful. Because with these benefits, the responsibility come, right? With great things, responsibility come. This is what I was looking for. So thank you for listening and have a great Shabbat.